Split walls and sad stacks on stacks on stacks, Prusa print plunges as nozzle pops apart, and what rolls downstairs, and at least one user cares, and it makes a bit of a bamboo sound. All this and more, PrintFix Friday, episode 221. It was more fun to do the intro this way. And everybody knows it's log. Let's get into it. Starting off here with no idea what's causing this delamination. Well, this one's pretty simple. Temperature. It is almost always a temperature issue. So they are using a Q1 Pro, which means they've had much better at the Q1 Pro than I have, because I've had not great success with Q1 Pros. By the way, if you're in the Tampa Bay area and want to get some pretty much unused Qidi Q1 Pros for a super bargain, call your boy. I'm looking to free up some space here in the shop. But we've got parts here that are delaminating after the first layer. We can see even the perimeter walls, and look at the edges here. It's like weirdly rounded, like the pressure advance is messed up too. We can see this is kind of normal for what you would expect for the first extruder, which only has one. Part cooling could go up a little bit, but not that big of a deal either way. And then we see the issue. 215 first layer, 210 the layer after that. And if we look at our print speeds, the print speeds are crazy fast. Way faster than that machine can run, especially with the stock hot end. Everything else seems pretty much fine. I would do more top shell layers and we can actually see the issue in the print itself. And if we zoom in a little bit on the part, it looks like they did fillet the inside corner. I still think it looks like we've got a bit of a pressure advance issue. But ultimately, this looks like one layer, two layers, delam. Because we are speeding up and we're not increasing our temperature. I know that traditionally with 3D printers, you would always cool down the machine after the first layer. But now with modern high-speed 3D printers that run input shaping, don't do that. If anything, turn it up. Roscoe Dash. Okay. And if anything, be like Roscoe Dash and turn it all the way up. You need to be running at least 230C or more for PLA high-speed prints. And you can set your perimeter and wall speed to whatever you want, because that machine is never going to do that kind of speed with the stock hot end because it is flow rate limited. And that's something that Orca or any other slicer is going to help you with. If we look at this inside edge, I'm not very confident with those corners, but I think that's going to have to do with temperature as well. I would look at taking this from 210 to like 230, 240, even 245, which is, yes, very hot for PLA, but you're running a fast printer. You can run it, if you want to start at 230, you're more than welcome to. And remember what I said about adding more top layers? We can see they were using gyroid infill here. And the fact that you can see the infill through is something called pillowing, where you don't have enough solid layers on top of that infill to fully cover it. If you are looking for infill that is reasonably strong, doesn't increase print time, and it doesn't have this issue as bad, we normally use adaptive cubic here in the shop, and while I do recognize it is a crossing style of infill, if your printer is reasonably well tuned, that doesn't matter anyways. And hey, while you're turning it up, don't forget to leave a like, get subscribed. My name's Grant, this is 3D Musketeers and PrintFix Friday, where we help you get your printers back to printing with purpose. If you are going through issues with your 3D printer and want to get some help, you can reach out to us on all the social medias, although our preferred method is that you film a video, upload it to YouTube, and tag us in the description, because we can see that kind of stuff when people do it. We can show the video and kind of go through the troubleshooting steps together. It's what we like to do. But moving on to an interesting one here, we've got a Prusa Core one where the user says the nozzle snapped in half. We can see that their high flow nozzle snapped in half at the beginning of a PLA print. They suspect they actually damaged it when they attempted to remove the nozzle without undoing the thumb screws. It's happened before. I've done it before. Have you done it before? I'd like to know in those comments. But what actually happened here is it didn't actually snap. In fact, the hot end didn't snap at all. What happened is that the nozzle separated from the heat break. So we can see this would normally be fully inside of the nozzle. And while I don't have a brass one handy, this is a obsidian high flow, and you can clearly see that tube that I was talking about before the copper. The copper's up inside of the heatsink, but you can see there is a bit of that stainless steel tube that goes into the nozzle itself, and that is what has pushed out. So likely what happened when they went to change the nozzle is that because the thumb screws were still in place, the top part didn't spin, the bottom part did, and eventually the pressure just caused everything to push itself out. Now, here's the cool thing. Technically, this is repairable. Exactly how depends on how you want to handle things. So, as far as I'm aware, these are all basically cold welded together. It's done under extreme heat, and then everything is just shrunk back together when it all cools down. In theory, you could torch the ever-loving crap out of the nozzle, and since it's not a hardened nozzle anyways, who cares? And then try to slide it back on to the stainless steel shaft that is exposed. Obviously, remove all filament. Do this outside of the 3D printer in like a bench vise or something like that. Don't crush the freaking tubes. They're very delicate. Be careful. I don't know, man. What do you got to lose? That just sounds like fun from a Florida man perspective, and, well, if nothing else, you get to learn a fun thing about thermodynamics and thermal expansion and physics. Best case scenario, it freaking works, and you have a spare nozzle now. I'd call that a win. You could look at some of the high-temp anaerobic Loctite, stuff like that out there, but I've never had great success with it. We found some companies that sell stuff that would work well for scenarios like that, but they are ungodly expensive, like $200 for a 3cc syringe, which is more than you need, but the nozzles are much cheaper than that, and you shouldn't have this, happen hopefully more than once. But thankfully this wasn't a hardened nozzle, it's an easy fix, and it didn't snap. It kind of did what you would want it to do, but in a roundabout way. Let me know what you guys think down in those comments. Next up, from the Resin Printing Discord, IPA tank turns to slime. I will give you about half a second to figure out what's wrong with this picture. Other than the fact that they're not wearing gloves, because resin is toxic, you should know that.
They're outside. They're outside.
And you know what else is outside? That really angry ball of fusion that means that I went from like -1, -2 Celsius in Prague to +27 Celsius here in Florida. That angry ball of fusion creates a lot of ultraviolet. And yeah, your resin that is suspended in your alcohol mixture all of a sudden found itself falling out of solution, but technically not fully falling out of solution, and turning your entire vat of IPA into somewhat dangerous forbidden jello. So what went wrong here? They took the alcohol outside. Don't do that. Like, seriously, don't take your alcohol outside unless you are firmly and easily willing to throw it all away, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to gel on you, and it's going to become useless. I have learned this the hard way, and I am certain that others have learned it the hard way too, and this person just learned it the hard way themselves. Now, you have this basket that is covered in this nasty particulate. How do you clean it? You're right, more alcohol! Alcohol or other cleaning solution will work, but now that it's outside, leave it outside, and let the alcohol flash off of it, let that resin fully cure. It should knock off at some extent, but do note, you can't guarantee that it's like fully cured, so make sure that you pick up any debris that might be out there. You can look to distill down that alcohol through an actual like distilling process, but with the cost of denatured alcohol, which is just ethanol with poison in it so you don't drink it, it's not worth it, in my opinion. Just go get new alcohol and treat this as a $10 to $20 lesson that you might have learned the hard way. If the alcohol is still somewhat clear, you can try to filter it through a coffee filter, or in my opinion, like a cheesecloth to start, and then slowly get finer, and you might be able to get some of that particulate material out, but you will never get clear IPA again unless you fully distill it, which of course comes with its own actual issues because distilling alcohol is mildly dangerous. But let me know, do you guys use IPA? Do you use denatured alcohol? Do you use methylated spirits? Do you use mean green? What do you use to clean your resin prints? We have a multi-step process where we do a clean IPA dunk after the entire print has gone through. That then goes to the second IPA dunk, which is the same fluid, but now it's contaminated. We then go to a third wash, which is very contaminated IPA. And then we finish with some mean green that really gets some of that excess IPA off of that. It seems to work quite well for us. I am certain there will be people that know way more than we do in those comments, so take a look, because the resin peeps have systems, and they're much better than mine, I promise. Guys, I got a couple of things here. One, I want the footage off of that camera. Two, what the actual heck? How did that happen? And three, printer fall downstairs. So this is a Bambu P1S that does go bang in the night when it falls down the stairs. I'm assuming the user was trying to carry it. Potentially a dog got in the way. And yeah, they got glass embedded into the wall. And just a big damn mess. Because as Jerry Rig Everything has taught us, glass is glass.
And glass breaks.
And hilariously, the door survived. So Bambu has clearly made their doors Uncle Jesse proof. And that's really all that we need to take away from this. The top glass panel has decided that it wanted to play a fun game of 10,000 piece pickup. This is when you go get a vacuum that you don't care about. Do not use the nice Dyson. You will get in trouble by your significant other. Don't do it. I saw you going for it. Don't do it. Thankfully, this is tempered glass. So while it does explode into a billion pieces, generally speaking, they're not sharp in a way that can hurt you. Don't try to squeeze your hand with fistfuls of broken glass, which is your corn cover band of the day, but just friggin' clean up the glass. This isn't complicated. But what I'm curious about, I know I'm not the only one here that's curious. This machine took a hit, a proper hit. Does it still work? The P1S does not need its top panel. It's not necessary. We can see the whole thing looks like she's got a little bit of the tweaks going on there, right? I just want to see if it works. It probably does, but I doubt that it prints a proper square. It looks like the whole frame is bent. And unfortunately, there's not much you can do. But kudos to the user who has clearly decided, I'm going to take photos before cleaning up the entire mess. This is why we tell you guys to always wear PPE when moving machines, because dude, freaking glass was embedded into the wall, like a distance away from the machine. I'm curious to see if it still works, and if you're curious to see if it still works, let me know down in the comments, because I bet it does. And I'm wondering if, like, Bambu has some sort of skew compensation that it might be able to figure itself out and realign it. And quite frankly, at this point, the machine is properly screwed. So you might as well go get a hammer and try beating it into submission again. Obviously, remove the door from it so you don't shatter the door. But at this point, you can try dropping the printer on the opposite side to see if maybe that brings it back into square. Who knows? Again, similar to the IPA tank that we just saw, you quite literally have basically nothing to lose if the machine itself doesn't work. So you might as well have some fun while you're at it. And speaking of having fun, huge thank you goes out to all the channel members whose names are listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Remember, if you do want to support the efforts that we do here and going around calling out crazy fails, but helping people solve their problems, and then actually going to companies and being able to interview directly with employees, which you guys will enjoy. We had some fun filming at Prusa, as one does, and there's going to be some more content coming up as we look to take all the contacts we got from Forum Next and turn it into some awesome content coming up for you all in the new year 2026. That's all I have for you all today. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to leave a like, but stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones, and as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one.